Since most of us are in the military or have been in the military, you should be familiar with service rifles. The most common used today are the M16 and M4. We're going to talk about an older rifle, which is still sometimes used today, the Springfield M14 or the Springfield M1A, which the M1A is just the civilian version of the M14. Today we're going to talk about the different parts and also the disassembly of this service. First of all, we're going to start off by making sure this rifle is unloaded. No bullets in the magazine or in the chamber. Next, we're going to cover the different parts to this rifle. To find this information, you can look in the operator and organizational maintenance manual for the 7.62mm rifle, which was published by the Department of the Army and also can be found on the Springfield Armory webpage. Let's move on to the different groups of this weapon. First, you have the magazine. Next, we have the trigger assembly, which is right here, which is the trigger, safety, and the internal parts that make both of these mechanisms work. The next group will be the stock and the handguard. Next, you have the barrel, and it goes all the way down and is attached to the receiver, which is right here. The receiver has the operating rod guide and guide assembly on the side of it right here, and that operates the bolt, which is inside the receiver. So now that we know the main different groups of this weapon, let's move on to the disassembly of this weapon. The disassembly of this weapon can be found in the Manual Supplemental Cleaning Assembly and Safety Manual, which was published by the Springfield Armory and can be found on the webpage. The first part of disassembling this weapon is to remove the magazine and release the bolt to the forward position. To remove the magazine, press forward on this magazine release right here where my thumb is, and you slide the magazine forward. After the magazine is released, you hit the bolt release button, which is right here, and release the bolt to the forward position. Now if the bolt is in the forward position, you turn the rifle over, being careful not to hurt our optics or sights, whichever you have on your rifle. And the next part is to remove the trigger assembly, which is right here. To remove the trigger assembly, we're going to put upward pressure on the trigger guard. And it pops right out. So after that is out, you just pull it up, and the whole assembly comes right out. After the trigger assembly is removed, upward pressure on the stock removes the barrel and receiver from the stock. Next is to remove the operating rod spring and spring guide, which are both right here. To do this, we need to release the pressure off of the spring and move this pin out of the spring guide. Pin is removed and it slides right out. Spring guide. Now that all the pressure is relieved off of the operating rod, you can slide it to the rear position. You line it up with about the windage knob right here. There's a small cutout, and you just apply pressure away from the receiver. And it pops out, and you slide it back a little further, and it is released. The last step will be to remove the bolt out of the receiver. So the bolt is now in the rear position. You just slide it forward, lifting up and twisting a little bit, and it comes right out. There's the bolt. Next, you can further disassemble this weapon. That's all we're going to cover for today. So now that you know the different parts to this rifle and the disassembly of it, you should feel more comfortable if you ever have to use one of these during your military career or after, which I do. Thank you.